Everybody, and welcome to Undisputed Conversations. I am your host, the most undisputed man in the world, Alejandro Cervantes, and right now I am here at Taqueria La Cocina, going to interview the owner of this restaurant. So, let's go.
Hello everybody, my name is Ivan, 25 years old, and I am 1% owner of the Taqueria La Cocina.
All right, man, how's it going?
Good, man.
Yeah, how's your day going so far?
Can't complain. A little tired.
A little tired?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. What would you say is like a typical day here at La Cocina Taqueria? La Cocina Taqueria.
Typical day, I mean, it's very slow here. You know, it's starting up fresh, have a month here. Typical day, you know, just get here, see all the foot traffic in the morning, see them with their Starbucks cups in their hands, and you know, occasionally someone will come in here for a breakfast burrito. But for me, you know, it's almost just like they said, another day at work. You know, come in here, do my duty, and you know, go along with my day.
What would you say is the most popular order that you guys get here?
Quesadillas.
Quesadillas?
Quesadillas,
okay.
you know, they first came out late 2010s. And you would think they die off, like the popularity. No, they still go crazy.
Yeah. All right, now you guys recently started this restaurant up here in El Cerrito Plaza,
yeah.
in Albany. How has the process been? How has it been so far?
You know, this time being our second time around with the opening of business, it was a lot smoother than the first time around. First time around, you know, I feel like we're really underprepared staff-wise. This time we did something. Where we train a lot of the workers at our Pinole location, brought them here already ready to go, you know. But it was a lot different here. It was a lot slower here. Pinole, the first day we opened, we got jam packed, so it was tough on the workers, the ones that didn't know. It was basically just me and my pops that knew the ins and outs of a regular day at work.
Yeah. Now, what would you say inspired you to become an owner of a taqueria restaurant?
You know, my dad. You know, it was never really in my plans. I had different plans. You know, going the school route or finding additional jobs, you know, along the way and building up from there. But I mean, he noticed I wasn't really going anywhere with those jobs. He offered me a position here at La Cocina. I denied it 2 times, and the third time I gave in. You know, I saw how much interest he had in my future, and I couldn't say no.
Yeah. So was that the reason why you decided to say yes? Or what was more of the reason that made you say yes the third time?
You know, my pops had a failed business early in 2020 that didn't go so well for him, and after seeing how much it hurt him to lose the business, I didn't want him to go through a similar thing again. So to me, it was kind of like a grudge I was holding against, opening a second spot and joining him, opening a second spot. Yeah. But the business partners we have, great people. I wish you can meet them as well. Hopefully, one day you can talk to them as well. Great people. Yeah.
Okay, what would you say has been the biggest sacrifice for you guys, in starting the restaurants? You have 2, right?
Yeah.
2 restaurants? Okay, what has been the biggest sacrifice for you
family
guys?
Time.
Family time?
Family time, very, very close to our immediate family, but being here, you're kind of here 24/7, My pop's more than anyone, he's here 12, 13 hours a day, so see him in the morning and then see him at night. That's pretty much it. So, personally, on my behalf, we're so close to each other that you don't see each other for that long. It feels weird. Yeah, it feels weird.
How was it growing up for you? Now, was your dad always interested in starting businesses and stuff like that, or is that something that happened when you were a little older?
My dad's been working as I guess you could call him a taquero for. I'm 25, him 27 years about now, almost 30. And so his goal was to always have his own spot. He helped a lot of people build up their restaurants, and he saw how successful they were becoming. He said, one day I want to do the same thing. The issue was, we weren't financially there. I was still young. I didn't have any savings. All his money was going toward rent and bills. Yeah. But like I said, we found the perfect group of people to help us out, and thanks to them, you know, I give them 100 thanks a day, even though I don't tell them personally. But thanks to them, we have what we have now, you know.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Now, what did you want to do when you were growing up?
I wanted to be an engineer. You know, the average. You go to school, they teach you want to become a doctor, engineer, lawyer. You know, the basics. You know, and I chose the engineer path, electrical engineer. I did engineering since middle school all the way to the end of high school, and I enjoyed it. But when I got to college, I hated it. So I dropped out of college and dedicated myself to dental assisting. I wanted to become a dental hygienist after that. COVID hit, changed my perspective on becoming a dental hygienist because of all the new regulations and rules that you had to follow after COVID hit. So, you know, after that, I think I told myself I was going to stay as a dental assistant, and I did. I stopped going to school, and that's why I said I think my dad saw that I wasn't going anywhere with that, and he offered me the ownership here.
Who would you say is your biggest inspiration?
Biggest inspiration.
Yeah.
You know, I never looked up to anybody such as celebrities, athletes, nothing like that. Mainly due to the fact that, I mean, they're talentedly gifted in ways that I'm not. You know, whether it's sport or, you know, music, art. So since I was a little kid, I always said my superhero was my dad. You know, I saw him work countless days and nights just to provide for the family, and you know, even now as an old kid, I don't, you know, superheroes aren't real, but you know, my dad's a superhero, so yeah, that's cool. That's who I looked up to. You know.
Yeah. I can tell that you have a good relationship with your father. What would you say is what was an advice for somebody who isn't close to their dad that's watching right now? What would be your biggest advice to them?
And I've always been a big believer in don't hold any grudges. You know, don't hold any grudges. Life is too short. Enjoy the times you have with your close ones, your loved ones. You know, he's taught me that himself, so that's where I kind of get it from. And it goes to anybody. You know, just life is way too short to hold a grudge.
And have you always been close to him?
Always, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's why I said we're, you know, me, my sister, him, and my mom. We've always been so close. So when we opened the taqueria, you know, everyone. I wasn't seeing my mom and my sister as often because me and my dad was stuck in the business pretty much 24/7. I was seeing him most of the time, but not my mom or my sister. So that's where I mean, like the family's always been super close. We're really strong on family.
Have you ever gone to Mexico before?
One time, yeah.
One time? Okay,
Yeah.
only one time?
Yeah. You know, we always feared. You know, Mexico. You always hear these crazy stories.
Right.
We always feared going to Mexico when we were little, and then we started getting into our teenage years, and you know, my mom, I think she was finally ready to let us go when we're more developed and we're able to think for ourselves and not other people think for us. That's when we decided to go, and I mean, we got super sick off the food, but nonetheless,
You guys weren't used to it?
Yeah, we weren't used to it. Yeah, we I think what did it for us was the lactose over there, the cheese and the milk. Yeah, it really messed us up really big.
Yeah.
We were sick for about a full week, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
The diarrhea?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. What was your favorite food over there? Because I know the food is
The
very different. Tacos, right?
You can try to remake them here as hard as you can. They're not gonna taste like they do in Mexico. It's amazing. Yeah.
What's your favorite kind of tacos?
Taco de tripa. You know, we don't offer it here, but I think taco de tripa it's I guess you can call it an exotic meat. It's really good. I love it. The reason we don't offer it here, it is very expensive, and you order 40 pounds, you prep it, you cook it, and it shrinks down to about 10 pounds. So you're really losing a lot on the meat when you cook it. So it's you know, it was a hard decision not selling it here, but I think taco de tripa are very underrated.
Yeah. Now, explain the process. How does that work? So you guys order meat, and you guys order these different. You guys order like what? Different drinks and different like tortillas, or how does that work?
Yeah. So I mean, every area in here plays its role. You know, we have a company that brings us meats, specifically meats. We have a produce guy that brings us straight produce. We have a tortilla company that brings us just straight tortillas. So everyone plays a role in what gets delivered and what makes the taqueria run. Obviously you want to find competitors out there for cheaper prices, so we're always on the lookout for that. But yeah, every company plays a huge role on what we order.
Yeah.
Whether it's meat, produce, tortillas, even the disposables. cups, papers, all that stuff.
What would be an advice for somebody who wants to start a business? What do you got?
You know, it's a little different from my perspective because I had a lot of my dad's help, but seeing from what I saw from his from his perspective is don't give up.
Okay.
Like I said, he had the failed business and the first business he had, and anyone probably would have given up after that. He didn't. He kept fighting for his dream to become a business owner, have his own taqueria, and like I said, I think everyone has a path chosen for them, and he was consistent with the work he had to do to get to that path, and that's what led him to be to this point today. So just don't give up. Keep working hard for your dreams.
Yeah.
It's like people say, never give up. It's a true statement. Never
True.
give up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You believe in God?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. How has your faith in God helped you throughout the years?
When you're young, your parents force you to go to church and stuff like that. You really don't quite understand it. As we've gotten older, you have a lot of people telling you different things in your ear, right? Different religions, different point of views, and this and all that. We grew up Catholics, and my mom never forced us, which I think it's a good thing. Kind of let your kids kind of venture off on their own. She never forced us, but I think it worked well for us, because I am a believer in Catholicism. But she didn't shove it down our throats to the point where we probably would get annoyed with it or would deviate from the path. She kind of just let us experience stuff on our own and kind of go from there. And I think that's a good way to teach your kids.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, what would you say is your goal, or you and your dad and the other owner's goal for you guys' restaurant?
What's your
biggest goal?
To be known.
Yeah.
To be known, whether it's statewide, nationwide, internationally. Who knows where we can go from here. So
Yeah.
I think that's everyone's goal.
It's awesome. My final question to you: what is one message you have for the world?
For the world, just peace. That's it. Yeah, you don't stop. All the hate, the racism. Just world peace.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll ask you one more question.
Yeah, go ahead.
What kind of music are you into?
Everything. I know it sounds a little bizarre, but I like country, I like rock, I like Mexican music as far as corridos, bandas románticas, rap, hip hop, R&B. My playlist is all over the place.
Yeah. Okay.
I got into country and rock kind of during high school, and it's just gotten bigger from there. I think a lot of people are pretty basic when it comes to their music taste. I like to really give every genre a try before I can say I don't like it.
What would you say is your favorite genre?
Favorite genre right now, as we speak, probably I know a lot of people don't like them, but the corridos, the Natanael Cano, Los Tumbados,
Peso Pluma.
yeah, Peso Pluma, Junior H.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people don't like them because they say it's not not real Mexican music, but every point has their era and time.
Right.
I like romantic. I like the oldies. The ones I grew up with, los Wookiees.
The Wookiees?
Yeah.
Okay.
Temerarios, all of that.
The Yonix.
Los Yonix, yeah.
Anyways, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for spending a little bit of your time listening to a little bit of his life. Now that's Undisputed,
And
and
you
you know
know
it.